It started with a whisper of suspicion, a sense that something wasn't quite right. Then came the invitation, a simple dinner at Daniel and Claire's apartment, meant to be a friendly gesture, neighbors getting to know one another. But from the moment my girlfriend and I stepped through their door that night, I could feel it, the undercurrent of tension, the hidden agendas simmering just beneath the surface. Daniel was charming as ever, his confidence practically radiating as he greeted us. His eyes lingered on my girlfriend for a beat too long, a flicker of something unspoken passing between them. Claire, ever poised and magnetic, welcomed us warmly, her hand brushing against mine in a way that felt anything but accidental. We sat down to dinner, a feast Claire had prepared with impressive care. The wine flowed freely, loosening conversation and lowering inhibitions. Yet even as laughter filled the room, my focus remained split. I watched the way Daniel looked at my girlfriend, how his smile seemed to widen whenever she spoke, how his gaze traced her face, her hands, her lips. And I couldn't deny the subtle touches Claire gave me under the table. Her fingers grazing my knee, the playful smile she shot me when our eyes met. It was as if we were all locked in a game, its rules unspoken but undeniable. After dinner, we moved to the living room. The seating arrangement felt deliberate, as if choreographed. Daniel beside my girlfriend on the couch, Claire next to me. Daniel poured more wine, handing a glass to my girlfriend, their fingers brushing briefly. The way she smiled at him, shy, a little flustered, sent a pang through my chest. Equal parts jealousy and something darker, something I didn't want to name. The conversation carried on, but I barely heard it. My attention was split between my girlfriend and Daniel's growing closeness and the weight of Claire's hand on my thigh. She leaned into me, her lips brushing my ear as she whispered something I didn't catch, her breath warm against my skin. When I turned to her, she smiled knowingly, her hand moving higher. I swallowed hard, my pulse quickening, and looked back to my girlfriend. She was laughing at something Daniel had said, her cheeks flushed, her hand resting on the back of the couch. His arm was draped behind her, his fingers lightly brushing her shoulder. I saw the moment her gaze flicked to me, hesitant, questioning. She seemed to ask permission with her eyes, unsure but intrigued by the path opening before her. I gave her a slight nod, barely perceptible. Her breath caught, and I could see the shift in her demeanor. She turned slightly toward Daniel, who leaned in closer, his lips brushing her ear as he murmured something too quiet to hear. Her cheeks flushed deeper, and when his lips moved to her neck, pressing soft kisses there, she didn't pull away. Instead, her head tilted, her body leaning into him, as though it were the most natural thing in the world. The sight of her, so vulnerable, so open to his touch, sent a wave of conflicting emotions through me. Jealousy twisted in my gut, but it was eclipsed by something else, a forbidden thrill that made my breath hitch. Claire's hand moved higher still, her touch sending jolts of heat through me. She turned my face toward hers, her lips brushing against mine in a kiss that was both tender and insistent. Her body pressed against mine, her hand slipping beneath my shirt, and I let myself fall into her touch. But I couldn't stop watching my girlfriend. Daniel's hand slid to her waist, pulling her closer. She gasped softly, her hands moving to his chest, her fingers curling into the fabric of his shirt. When their lips met, it was slow, deliberate, an exploration. The kiss deepened, her body melting into his as his hands roamed her back, exploring the curves I had held so many times. Claire kissed me again, her teeth grazing my bottom lip as her hands tugged at my shirt. "Are you okay with this?" she murmured, her voice low, her tone a mixture of curiosity and seduction. I couldn't answer. My focus remained locked on my girlfriend, the way she responded to Daniel, her soft moans filling the air. It was surreal, watching her give herself to another man while Claire's hands explored my body. Claire pulled my shirt off, her lips trailing down my neck, her hand slipping to my belt. She worked quickly, her movements confident, and soon my jeans joined the growing pile of clothes on the floor. Her mouth found mine again, and I kissed her back, letting my hand slide over her, feeling the soft curve of her waist, the smoothness of her skin. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Daniel pull my girlfriend onto his lap, his hands running up her thighs, bunching her dress around her hips. She gasped, her head falling back, her eyes fluttering shut as his lips traced a slow, deliberate path down her neck. His fingers gripped her thighs firmly, sliding higher, caressing her skin with a confidence that made her shiver. Her fingers tangled in his hair, her nails lightly grazing his scalp as her body arched against him, her chest pressing closer. She seemed lost in the moment, her lips parting with soft, breathy moans as he explored her with a hunger I recognized all too well. I watched as his hands gripped her waist, his thumbs tracing circles against her skin, drawing her closer, urging her to give in to the moment. The room felt charged, every touch, every sound amplified. Claire pressed me back against the couch, her hands guiding me, her body fitting against mine as she kissed me deeply. I felt her heat, her desire, as she moved against me, her breath quickening. I turned my head, unable to stop watching as my girlfriend's dress slipped from her shoulders, revealing her bare skin. Daniel's hands explored her, his lips trailing down her chest as she moaned, her nails raking lightly over his back. Claire's lips found my ear, her voice a sultry whisper. "Does this excite you?" she asked, her breath hot against my skin, each word sending shivers down my spine. Her movements were deliberate, slow, and tantalizing. Her hands traced the contours of my chest, her fingers brushing over my muscles, lingering at the sensitive spots that made my breath hitch. She moved lower, her nails lightly grazing my skin, a teasing pressure that set every nerve alight. The way her body pressed against mine, the way she looked at me, there was no mistaking the intent behind her eyes. Her lips brushed against my neck, her teeth grazing the sensitive skin there as her hands continued their exploration, leaving a trail of heat in their wake. "Yes," I admitted, the words slipping out before I could stop it. The night unfolded in a haze of passion and forbidden desire. Every touch, every sound seemed magnified, the room charged with an electricity that I had never experienced before. Boundaries blurred as Claire's body pressed into mine, her touch demanding and unrelenting, while across the room my girlfriend's soft gasps and moans filled the air, creating an intoxicating symphony of desire. The weight of guilt was overshadowed by the sheer intensity of the moment, the primal need that had taken hold of us all. I couldn't stop watching my girlfriend, the way her body arched, the way her eyes fluttered closed in ecstasy, the way she surrendered to Daniel. I couldn't stop wanting her, even as Claire consumed me, her lips marking my skin, her hands tracing every contour of my body with a sense of ownership. It was like nothing else mattered, only the need to feel, to be consumed by this dangerous thrill. By the time the first rays of dawn crept through the curtains, the lines between us all had been erased. What had started as an innocent dinner had become something far more dangerous, something none of us could take back. And as I lay there, Claire's body draped over mine, I couldn't help but wonder if I wanted to.